Hi, I'm Michael Nadlin from Market Lead, and today's video is the third and last of this part of chats with Cory and Lindholm. They're not going to be the last chats I ever have with him, but it's just for this little segment. This video is more about the future of advertising, the future of PMAX, the future of Google Analytics, the future of advertising in general. So this is really important to me, this area at the moment. I had a chat with Ed Leak about this, and I wanted to ask Cory his opinion on it as well. So let's jump in. Like, comment, subscribe, follow Cory's stuff. You know what to do. Enjoy.
Beautiful. Cool. Dude, that was good. Now, the next thing, let's jump back in. So the next thing I want to ask you is, where do you say, so we just spoke about a bit about the future of advertising, but more what we're seeing now. And I was more about the analytics and then PMAX. Where are you seeing things shifting towards now based on, one, the data you're seeing in accounts, two, what people are coming to you with questions, and three, just your own personal insights overall. So for example, like obviously a lot of people, because of your work, you're talking a lot about PMAX, will be coming to you about that. That's what a lot of us are talking about. That's not the only way you can do Google Ads. You can probably have more success with standard shopping and just a search campaign now, but everyone thinks that you must do this. So this isn't the future. It's a different path, but you don't have to do it. Like I still recommend to a lot of clients when they're starting off, start with a standard shopping campaign. Why would you ever start with PMAX straight up? Because that way you can audit your search terms. You can make sure there's negative keywords. You can make sure that your feed's optimizing, like you can optimize your feed or your product feed. You can beef up certain products that are priority ones that are getting low impressions. But look, everyone's so focused on PMAX, but regardless of PMAX, and we can still continue to talk about that.
Yeah.
What are you seeing is like the future in the next 2 years of just Google Ads or just advertising in general?
Yeah. So one on Google, I wonder if it's going to be sort of Performance Max, or you either just go, you have to do Performance Max, you don't have other network types, and it's like different like flavors of Performance Max, like where you just have like different, let's just say different styles of Performance Max versus being able to have full control over breaking out different networks, etc. I wonder if that's going to be the future, where it's just Performance Max with different styles, or it's going to be, personally, like I've heard that a lot. I don't know that I don't think that's where it's going, only because what I'm seeing is, and this is very atypical to Google and their products around advertising, is that they need to learn from what we give them in order for it to do well. It's not always just, I mean, it depends. Like if the industry is super well known and it's very obvious, it can take from your competitors, all these things. But what I generally see is, if DSA has been going really well and you've been running it for a while, it's going to probably put a lot of money into DSA, and that might do well and to help Performance Max. If shopping's done really well in the past, it's going to probably focus a lot on shopping. If both of those have been doing really well, it's going to focus on both of those. You're getting my point. If YouTube has not really been tested, it might try it for a bit and then it moves away depending on your bidding strategy. If you've done outbound display, etc., it's going to probably try that as well. But it's generally just going to go off of what's been working well in the past, hence why we have to feed it with other things. So I generally, like, a lot of my clients will come to me and say, let's talk about PMAX. Like they can't wait to get into PMAX, but I will actually start from the outside first, like first business, then other marketing and what's happening in the, like, with your other marketing channels, because Google Ads does not work in a vacuum. And then we slowly start peeling the onion back. It's like, okay, do you have a branded search campaign? What's the impression share around that? Are you maximizing it there? Are you running any dynamic search ads? Are those within campaigns or within ad groups? Are you doing any remarketing? Blah, blah, blah. How is your site? How does the keyword planner scan look when we run it through, when you run your site through like the keyword planner? That gives us viability as to DSA and Performance Max to go to search. So we slowly work our way into, is Performance Max even a good idea? Because it honestly might end up
Performance Max from the start. Performance Max from the start. Nothing else. I've been watching videos on it. Everyone else in the world must be doing it, from the poorest guy in whatever country. Everyone's doing performance. No, I know what you mean, man. Like that's the thing. It's really coming back to like a business focus at the start and then working down to see if it's viable, not just seeing how you can just do PMAX and then your business has to work around PMAX.
Exactly.
Like, no.
No, no, no. Performance Max is a tool that works more like a blunt object, and it can be very effective for some. If everything they're hitting is like going to be very effective, and they've got those channels dialed in, and there's some data for Google to support some of those decisions, it can be a home run. In some cases, Google tries that, and they're like, "This isn't working," and you're telling me to be really restrictive, like a target ROAS. I'm just going to get really conservative and just like give you a sale a day and give
Yeah.
you, spend 10% of what you're telling me I can spend per day, and then just stick on shopping. And then that's all you've done. You've really just spent a ton for Performance Max to like for Google to tell you that Performance Max probably wasn't the best option for you. Whereas in reverse, you can test those other things first and then see if this blunt object Performance Max type of tool is going to be a good idea for you. So that's how I kind of approach it. Yeah.
And with like, I was even just a little strategy comes to mind that I do with all my clients all the time that do e-commerce is you run standard shopping. You can like PMAX is very automation based and like there is an advantage there, but you can use that with standard shopping by like layering in audiences. You can use target CPO, target ROAS goals on there. It's not like purely just like it's either manual or super automated. You can actually like turn those manual campaigns more into automation, which I like to say it's like a cyborg advertising, half human, half man. Sorry, half human, half machine. That's it. And you can actually, because that's what Google's trying to be doing for the last year with target CPA, target ROAS, but now they've got like a super 100% almost automated thing that no, you can actually go back to a place where you've got more control. And that's the thing that we really need to remember at the end of the day. It's like PMAX isn't the solution. If anything, it's probably like bad that there's such a high adoption of it because it's not being, a lot of the cracks aren't being fixed fast. Like if there was less adoption, Google might be more incentivized to fix those cracks faster, like the fake leads on if you're running lead gen across the display network. But I'm just starting to see, like, I don't think if people just continue just to do what works, which is like a good search campaign, a good shopping campaign, you can be extremely successful that way. The problem is just because it's a new feature doesn't mean it's a new benefit. The only issue with like Google Ads is we have lost access to data in terms of Google Analytics fading away and then search terms going. But apart from that, everything else still seems the same. Yeah, RSAs are there. They're not the same as expanded text ads, but you can kind of pin things. So it's essentially the same. So a lot of the things are mostly the same. We are losing some data, but then because PMAX is so front of mind for everyone, where everyone's like, this is the future. No, it's like, no, that's just like a different path to Mordor, which is hell. If it's done wrong. The other thing is, just like, I know we haven't spoken about this much. Do you use Google Analytics much?
Oh, yeah.
Or you mostly?
I mean, every day. Cool.
Cool. Because I'm a super psycho about that. I love it. Probably not the word, not psycho, but I love it so much. And I've built a lot of client success based off it. I know a lot of people just purely just look in Google Ads. And I know so many amazing Google Ads specialists gets amazing results. They wouldn't even know what buttons to click in analytics. So some people just operate differently. With GA3 or UA disappearing soon and GA4 coming to the mix, this is still going with the future of advertising. Have you started using GA4 yet?
And I'd love to say, oh yeah, but no, not really.
I'm a master of that. I used to all my clients.
The usability is just quite awful. Please, Google, listen to us. You've got to make this, at least start with something that we know, like UA, and then start adding some cool stuff. But to just completely pull the rug out and like change the interface completely is really confusing. You have to almost create custom reports for everything you want. Luckily, there's some automated reports that are in there. I really like for like enterprise clients or really high spends. There is some, depending on how much you want to trust there, so some predictive forecasting tools that are in GA4 that are unique to GA4. I'm sort of exploring that. And what's fun is to like screenshot that or download it and then come back to it 3 months later and see how close it is. It's hit or miss, but not everybody has those features. But for the most part, I'm using UA, like the old Universal Analytics stuff, more often. It's just more insights. I'm familiar with it. Maybe I'm stubborn, but I've really thoroughly explored GA4, and I don't see any insights outside of what I just mentioned that are breathtakingly better or different than what I can get in Universal Analytics. So.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I was actually doing a course last week, and it just really making sure I knew the fundamentals. And it's a big course I'm going through, and it's really hard. Even going through the course, like there's a lot of features. There's not many benefits, and even the features aren't that like amazing. They're just like I'm like, who's actually going to use this? Like an advertiser's not going to use it. A business owner's not going to use it. A developer's not going to use it. Like who's this made for? I think it's just been created just to be created. Like, and the other thing is, and this is just like a little PSA, like anyone who's using JA4, firstly, just get it set up and make sure all the data tracking's on, because you actually need to turn on the data signals to start acquiring. It doesn't auto turn on.
Yes.
The next thing is create audiences in there, because it doesn't backdate or retroactively create audiences. So if you want to be creating like audiences based on high volume purchases, high revenue purchases, people have visited your site, if you create it today and you want the last 3 months of data, you're not going to get that. So just create just good generic baseline ones based on revenue, website traffic, just standard things. Because if you want to be using GA4 with Google Analytics to the best, I mean, GA4 with PMAX, these are good audiences that you could potentially use. But if you don't have that data and you're only doing it the last minute, you've missed out on 6 or 12 months of worth of data. And I actually use Google Analytics quite a bit to build audiences to pass back into Google Ads.
Yep.
So, but look, man, I've been through GA4 now, and I'm like, am I just getting like, am I being one, too difficult, or two, just like I'm not that smart and I'm not learning things? But it's like, I have not seen any unique benefits from it. I was actually on a chat with Ed Leak the other day as well, and I was asking him like, like one of the major things I really like is just seeing what in-market signals or in-market audiences of the data is associated with it in terms of like revenue. Because, you can just look at not even just like from Google Ads, but just holistically how Google's grouping people in market. That's a wonderful way to find new in-market signals based on your own data for PMAX. But you can't do that in GA4, or at least I've Googled it. I've tried to look. I've been asking industry experts. No one's telling me. So I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So it's very hard at the moment.
I'm with you.
So it's just like, it's those things with like, obviously the, GA4 changing, which was such a potent free analytics like place for all business owners, advertisers, all marketers, business owners, operations managers to go to, where it's not even GA4 is a different thing. It's just like, it's not even an analytics platform. It just seems like some random dashboard that someone's created just because they've had to. And I don't find any use in it. I've set up on all my clients, made sure all the conversion tracking set up, turn on all those events into conversion, just so the data's there, that if one day I finally understand it and I have an epiphany, I can use it. But at the moment, after months of having it there and checking out, I haven't seen any value in it. And I'd like to know if anyone else has. And there's a big difference between saying like, oh, I like this report and I actually use this report or this data to do something. Like having data for data's sake is not that good, unless like you just do insights and you just give it to clients and you're like, oh, this is what the data is. But then every point of data needs to be aligned with a why, which is like why it happened. And then next is like, what are we going to do about it? There's no data that gives me a why or a what's next.
Exactly. Yep.
So yeah, man. Look, is there anything else you just want to chat about in terms of the future of advertising, like on the spot, Google Ads, or just holistically with other paid channels? Like I know we've spoken to quite a bit about PMAX, GA4, like any other channels that you're seeing opportunities with?
Let's see. I mean, I will say, don't run away from here's what I would say. The biggest thing, don't go and pause all of your other campaigns. Like, even if Performance Max is working amazing, don't do it, because I have seen really awful things happen to PMAX when that happens. And again, this goes back to Google takes from what works, and it's using our insights to make some of those predictions. So if like you've trained that conversion pixel on DSA and branded search and display remarketing, don't just immediately say like, Performance Max is crushing it. And, most of our clicks and impressions from those old campaigns are now just cannibalized by PMAX. Let's just go ahead and turn them off. Do not do that to yourself. It's almost like those other campaign types have become like teaching engines. So like, think about them that way. Like they are the thinking engine if you're running a full blown Performance Max. So that would be the last sort of thing I'd add to it.
Awesome. Thanks, so mate. Thank you for being so generous with your time once again. I know we've got 3 amazing and beautiful segments that I will be rewatching because I'm going to edit this down, and then at the same time, all the other people get to watch it because your content that you keep releasing is super valuable. All the people at the top are listening to you, including me. Am I at the top or am I just another person?
Oh, you're up there, right?
They're like, yeah. So I appreciate all the work you do, and I'm excited for the new post you're going to be releasing because your insights are really like no one does it the way you do. Like you come from a very technical perspective, but also ensure that it's actionable. A lot of people are either just super actionable or super technical, and I think you're just like a perfect blend of like both extremes like together. So whatever work you're doing, mate, keep doing.
Thanks,
you.
Brian. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Now, you know what time it is. I'll keep this short. Like, comment, and subscribe to keep up to date with the latest and greatest Google Ads and paid ad news. And lastly, it's your time to be number 1. So Market Lead is now taking on new clients. So if you're serious about increasing sales, increasing customers, and more importantly, scaling your business, book in a strategy session with someone in my team and you'll get a free action plan. Just go to marketlead.com.au, go to the strategy session link, and then book it in there. So remember, like, comment, and subscribe. I'll keep this short. Enjoy.